Hello and welcome to our Success Spotlight Day. I am Debbie Waidl, your migraine freedom expert, and I am so happy to be here today with one of our Freedom from Migraine Method Complete graduates, Tammy. Tammy, welcome to our call today.
Thank you.
Oh, I am so happy you're here because what we're going to talk about today is a topic I really feel that everyone who has migraines needs to be a part of. But before we dive in, I just want to do a quick overview of who you are and what your migraine freedom, story was like before you found us in the Freedom from Migraine method. So if you don't mind giving us that quick elevator version of your journey from then until you found us.
Okay. Hi, my name's Tammy. I was pretty sick, and 2 summers ago, I really couldn't get out of bed. Head pain, and I really had thought it was allergies. I thought, sinus infection. I thought stress, I don't even know what I thought after a while. And so finally, after trying a lot of medications, I went back to my GP and she said, well, we can't figure this out. Let's send you to a neurologist. So she sent me to a neurologist who sent me for a brain scan.
Mhm.
And the brain scan came back. It was non-contrast. And they said, you have a tumor next to your pituitary gland. And then they decided after that, even though apparently they should have done it the first time, to do a contrast brain scan. So I had the pleasure of going in for another one. And
That had to be nerve-wracking when someone
oh,
tells you you have a tumor and then you have to wait to get another test done.
mhm.
Can't
So then I
imagine.
went back for a second brain scan with contrast and then waited for the results. And then they called and said, uh, you do have a meningioma. It's about the size of a peanut and it's next to your pituitary gland. We don't know if that's causing the headaches or not. And so they said there was a 50-50 chance.
Mm.
And so then they said, I used my privilege and I pulled a friendship string and got into the University of Rochester neurology department. And because they had said it would be a year waiting list,
Oh
even
my
with a brain
gosh.
tumor. Mhm. Add to the whole bucket of stress. You talk about buckets in your program. My
Yeah,
stress bucket was
a
so
whole
I,
year. I can't imagine that.
right? Like I have a brain tumor. What does it take? And
Yeah. What's worse, right?
wow. So I get in and they had a consult with also with a neurosurgeon. And so he reviewed my scans. And thank God he said, I don't think we should do surgery because I'll tell you what, I would have done it. I
Yeah.
was just like, okay. I have no idea what that surgery is even like. I was afraid to ask that deep in your brain. I certainly don't think it was good,
No.
but I was going to do it because I
Yeah.
couldn't get out of bed. Wouldn't you?
Oh, I joke all the time, and I think you've heard me say this before. If someone had told me when I had daily migraines that I needed to go to like my busy, four corners in town when it was rush hour traffic and dance naked upside down, I would have done it. Anything else you want me to add to it? I would have done it, we would do anything, right? We
Oh,
do
yeah.
to get rid of our pain.
There's
Any,
a visual.
I know that's why I tell the story. Because people are like, oh my God, she'd really do that. Hello, I'm 56. Okay. Or am I 55, 56? I don't know. I'm one of those. I'm 55. It would not necessarily be a pretty sight. Thank God I don't have to do it because I don't have migraines, but I would have. I would have. So fortunately, he told you not to do it,
Mm.
but you still had pain.
Yeah. And then they put me on Nurtec
Okay. Yeah, very common, right?
or Triptyline. I was on like 10 in a row. I couldn't take it. I was like, take another one. Then I call them up, say, I can't take that. It's making me crazy. They'd give me another one.
Because you
After
were having
10 of
side
them,
effects. You were having side effects
oh,
from
yeah, it was me.
medication. Yeah.
I remember playing golf with my husband, trying to play golf with my husband, and he said to me, it was the middle of the day, have you been drinking? Are you drunk? It's like,
That
not
was from
today.
medication. Wow.
And he's not one to really notice the finer. nuances in
So,
women.
so you were really acting out of it.
Yeah.
Wow. So you tried the med.
Confused, like what, didn't know the score, stuff like that.
Wow. Okay. So
Um,
none of those worked for you. That was not good for you then.
so what do? You just keep researching and Googling, and I found you on Facebook.
And here we
I
are.
tell people, God help me, I found her on Facebook. For the love of God, that's where I found my cure.
And that sounds so crazy, doesn't it, when you say it out loud?
Yeah. And
I mean,
so,
I live in New York. You don't live anywhere near me. We've never met in person.
no. And I'd also like to think I'm a retired physical education and health teacher. I taught for 30 years. I'm a personal trainer on the side. I've coached numerous people. I've read and podcasts, and I just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much information I had researched and gleaned and tried. It just didn't work. I couldn't put it all together. And I think I have a legitimate background in health.
Oh, absolutely.
But for me,
Absolutely.
I couldn't sort it all out.
Yeah. Well,
Too
we
many different people telling me two different things. The doctors are just saying, take this med. If that doesn't work, take more of it. And I'm like, this just isn't right.
Yeah. I mean, we've had nurses in our program. We've had doctors in our program. We've had nurse practitioners, physical therapists, so you're kind of in that same boat where you had access to that knowledge. You were trained in that knowledge. Um, and this kind of leads me into the first question that I want to talk about. And I actually went into our Women's Migraine Freedom group today and I asked a question of everyone, and these were the people that I asked were people who went through our program, people that did the Freedom from Migraine method, which, as I said, you did the complete. And I asked them, could you have reached migraine freedom if I had just given you course material, right? If I had just turned over our 12-week course to you to do alone, do you think that you would be where you are today with your migraine freedom? And I got a ton of responses over there, but I kind of want to hear what you would say. When Tammy, when you met us, we talked, you decided, yep, I don't want surgery. These meds aren't working. I want to try something different, something a little bit more natural, which of course probably came from your background in health and wellness. So you decided to join. But if I had just given you that material, what do you think would have happened?
I'd be in the same boat I was before. I couldn't, I could not have done it without the support. You
Now, I
know,
have women all the time though, Tammy. They say to me like, "Oh, if I could just eat a little less sugar, if I could just ditch the processed food, or I'm not doing exercise right. Maybe if I just exercise a little better, or drink a little more water, right? All these things that right? You said that, all these things. So if you guys know these things, why isn't that enough?
I can speak for myself in that I thought I knew all that. I thought I was eating correctly. I thought a smoothie in the morning with a bunch of berries in it and,
Mm-hmm.
probably a ton of sugar in it was the right thing to do. And then go have, uh, a turkey sandwich and now the gluten and the sugar and everything is, but I'm not eating you know, badly really.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
But I
absolutely.
really didn't realize or understand all the different aspects of it, the depth of knowledge that's there, the support that's there, and then how to put it together. Like to me, it's like a jigsaw puzzle that you guys were able to figure out. Well, I was pretty dialed in maybe in one area, but then you were able to figure out, Tammy, maybe you need to look at your stress a little bit. And then
Mm-hmm.
you have the stress calls that were also instrumental in my freedom. Uh,
Yeah, our
so I think
mindfulness
it takes
calls.
a team of experts to be able to handle a problem that is that severe.
Yeah, and when we look at our programs, the main components we have three different levels of the Freedom from Migraine method, the complete, the plus, and the elite, but, they all have the material, which of course is great, right? But then we pair it with the coaching calls and the community. So I kind of want to look at each of those parts for a minute. We've already hit on the material. We know that, right? You get some material. Some of the things are going to be things you know. Drink water. Well, duh, I know that, right? Exercise.
Right.
I know that. But then, as Tammy said, we kind of take them a little step further. Like I'm just going to use water, for example. Okay, you're going to drink water, but how much? when, what's right for you. When do you adjust that water? Do you adjust it because you live in California versus living in Alaska? Do you adjust it because you exercise differently? Whatever, so those are the nuances we look at. But if we set that aside, Tammy, knowing that, okay, we know the material, but now we need a little bit more support there. If we look at the coaching calls, how does that come into play with this material? Does that make a difference? Does that help?
It certainly helped me. Initially I thought I don't need those coaching calls. I can
Why
read
did you
that.
think you didn't need them?
I thought I had a good base of knowledge. I in a hurry, right? I'm going to read all this stuff. I'm going to fix it myself. Nobody else has been able to help me. What are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I didn't go to a coaching call and I had a question early on. And you said to me, Tammy, you need to go to a coaching call.
Uh-huh.
And so I went to my boss and I said, I need to go to a coaching call. I had to shorten my hours anyway. So she knew that it was important. So
Yep.
I shortened my work hours. So I was able to go to the coaching call. And right away, I was able to have questions answered. Things I thought I was doing correctly, I really wasn't. Like I thought it was going to be okay to just dump a bunch of element into the water I was drinking because I'd been
Mm-hmm.
reading about element in the water. Oh, that'll fix it to get it done in a hurry. But you helped me to figure out that, oh, there's some magnesium in there, but that's not really what you want to be doing. And the potassium, you got to keep it balanced.
Mm-hmm.
I needed that additional guidance over and above what was in the written materials. And I got it every time I was in a coaching call. I came away with that like lighter in my step because I had more information and I knew where I was going next. Like I
Mm-hmm.
could see where I was and I could see what I had to do and I could see where I was going next after the coaching call. I couldn't really see that with just the material.
So that coaching call almost allowed you to take that material and find a way to tailor it best for you.
Exactly.
And had you not, what I'm hearing is your electrolytes would still not be balanced.
That's right. I'd be like,
And you're 4 months out of the program. So
yeah, I'm
because
still
you thought
messing
you were,
around because I thought I was too busy for the coaching call.
yeah. And we have everything laid out, right? It's all laid out there, but it's like anything else. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I read a recipe and, well, actually, this is the truth, right? Everyone looks at a recipe and it turns out different for everyone, right? Because
Yeah,
we interpret it differently or we do something a little bit differently. And that's almost the same with the program, right? We're all reading the same material, but we're processing it differently based on our past beliefs,
exactly.
our past experiences. And you might read into something without even realizing it, like Tammy, you must have, like, well, this is the right thing to do because of your past research. You kind of melded it with the program, not realizing that that was something that could have been detrimental to you.
For sure. No
Yeah,
question about it.
amazing. All right, so that's the coaching calls. And then the other big piece in the program is the fact that we have a team of 10. My team is amazing. They're all wonderful women and one gentleman who the women that are coaching each and every one of the people that go through the Freedom from Migraine method have had migraines before. They've been in your shoes. They know what it's like. They've done this protocol. They've come out the other side with their freedom. And they decided to stick around with me, thank goodness, to help me support each and every one of you. But we give you access to them every day, every single day. Now, did you actually use their help, Tammy? Did you reach out to them at all?
I did quite a bit. I felt also much less alone in this. Like I don't know anybody else that has that issue. Migraines in my particular circle, my world. And that's hard after a while. You don't really want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't tell people about it. You just grin and bear it. You got through it. And so I finally found people that were either in the same boat or they had been through it and knew how to fix it. And I can't tell you how comforting that was. It was like having like I've got a counselor right here that's going to help me. And all I have to do is right there. And they answer you like that. I was like, God, don't they sleep? And I'm on West Coast, and they still, it was amazing to me. I miss the Freedom from Migraine group now, and I really don't need it. I'm
Yeah.
great.
That is so good to hear. I mean, you look great. You look great. You look
Thanks.
happy. But yeah,
I'm
my team,
still, I'm
they
sorry.
just care so much about making sure that you guys can have the same freedom that they have, that's why they respond so quick. Plus,
Mm,
let's face it, when you're in pain, so if you're, any level of pain, no matter what it is, you'd want to stay in pain. Who wants to wait 24, 48, 72 hours to get a question answered that maybe if somebody jumps on and answers quickly, you can abort that migraine,
right.
you
It's
know? And
amazing, really.
I
I
think
tell everybody about it. Now I tell everybody about it. Guess what happened to me?
that
Now I'm
I
good.
met this crazy lady on Facebook
So
and she
fun.
told me to do all these crazy things. No, I'm just
Yeah.
I mean, nothing that we're doing is crazy. It really is figuring out the lifestyle and environmental shifts that each and every person needs to make for them. But I think that's the piece that so many people miss is we're not making lifestyle and environmental changes that Dr. Google's telling us to make. We're making the changes that are right for you. I think I can't remember if you mentioned it on air or off, Tammy, but did you mention in the beginning about gluten, being gluten free?
Mm.
Not everybody in the program is gluten free, but everybody joins going, oh my God, do I have to get rid of gluten and dairy and soy and caffeine and sugar and alcohol? Do I have to get rid of everything? Can I never eat those things again? No, no. I was telling Tammy a few minutes ago, I really enjoy wine. I really do. And I can guarantee you this weekend I'll be having a glass of wine at some point in time, maybe even two,
So
maybe
great.
three if I'm feeling crazy, right? But I don't do it every day because let's face it, doesn't matter migraines or not, every day is probably not a good idea for three glasses of wine. But you have to figure out what's right for you. And I think that is where so many people get stuck. Even Tammy, with your health background, being a PT teacher, living this life. I mean, my goodness, you're still living sports. You're coaching your grandchildren's sports teams.
So fun.
So health and wellness is not something that's like a pastime for you. It's part of your life, but
And I would say to people, trying to explain to them this program, like to look at me. I mean, I ran every day. I run 6 miles a day, every
Mhm,
day of the week, or workout every day, mobility every day. I was in the gym. That's like my playground. To look at me, you wouldn't think I have chronic inflammation,
mhm.
but I did.
Excuse my time. That's my workout timer, by the way.
Yeah,
So we'll do that after. It's truthfully is if I hadn't pushed the button, I would have showed you. But
that's
that's
so
how much
great.
I know it's important because I could sit here and get lost in doing this and forget to take care of me. So I set a timer.
Smart.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought.
That's all right.
But
Obviously was chronically inflamed, and you enabled me to, and the team and the ladies in the group enabled me to see that. I couldn't see it.
yeah, and you were doing so many things that were right, but it doesn't mean that you were doing things wrong to make yourself inflamed. It's just you didn't know. You don't
I
know
didn't
what you
know.
don't know.
Mhm.
And I think so many women that have migraines, a lot of us are type A. We don't like to be wrong. We don't like to admit we don't know something. We do the research and we're like, we've done it. I've researched. I have researched. I've researched. I've researched. How could somebody else tell me that there's something else out there? How could that be possible? I mean, especially, let's face it, like I've said, I've worked with doctors, I've worked with nurse practitioners, I'm working, worked with you. We've worked with physical therapists and the whole gamut. And you guys are so smart and have so much research, even the people that aren't in a health field, because you research all the time. But it's not that you don't know the right knowledge, it's just you don't necessarily know how to put it together for you, how to stack it in the right order, how to marry each piece together. Like, Tammy knows the six key areas that we focus on. So electrolyte symmetry is one. When we do that, it's not done. We work on nutrition, then we go back and make sure the electrolytes are right. We look at, how we're moving in a day, then we make sure the electrolytes are right. We see what kind of toxins we're exposed to, then we make sure the electrolytes are right. So we're constantly revisiting every area It's not a one and done. Did you feel through the program, Tammy, that you were like, not that it was hard, but that you were going back and like tweaking each area as you learned something new to make sure that they really work together?
Yes. I mean, example I can think of is sodium. You know, when I first started the program was in July and it was hot and I was in upstate New York and humid and I'm still working out. Because the other odd thing for me is whenever I was running, I wouldn't have a headache.
Yeah.
So it's not healthy. So what I do, run some more or work out some more because in the middle of that, I wouldn't have a headache. But then
Right.
I realized after talking to you guys, like my sodium needs were higher,
Yeah,
maybe than somebody else's because of the heat, the humidity, and the amount of working out, sweating I'm doing. So I had to go back and tweak that.
exactly.
It's
You had to
different for
balance your
everyone.
electrolytes based on you.
Right. And I wasn't doing it right. I was like, oh, the minute you told me. And so then I fixed it
Yeah.
based on not what I'd read, I based on our conversations. That's what helped me to move forward.
Yeah. And what was this kind of leads to something you said to me, oh my God, it's probably like 5 months ago now, about what is the term, the teacher term that you guys use when you make sure that everything you're kind of basing it on the person? Tell,
Differentiated instruction.
yes. Yes. And if
You
you
were able to
didn't,
do that for me. Like you met me where I was at, like we do with our students, right? And our students will tell us what they need if we listen.
Mhm.
And you listened. I think that's the other thing. Like you go in and you talk to these practitioners and you're in and out and they don't really want to hear it. You listened to where I was at personally with my stress or my electrolyte imbalance or my food.
Mhm.
And then you tweaked it to meet me where I was at. Like that's the epitome of a good teacher.
Yeah,
And
what
you
would have
know,
happened in your classroom if you didn't look at each student? I mean, I understand you're teaching the same curriculum, right? You're walking in, you're teaching the same curriculum to the kids. But what if you treated every child the same?
a perfect example of doing that wrong is a physical education class where you make every kid run a mile, that old school stuff, or tell every kid they have to do a push up. Like you have to differentiate that instruction. You don't, every kid can't do a push up. When there's some statistic like 17% of kids can do a push up in this country.
Yeah.
Like you develop a curriculum, which we did, where you do a push up to a yoga block, you do a push up from your knees, you do a push up to the wall, and you base your instruction on where those kids are at. You devise your games on where those kids are at. Otherwise, it's poor teaching.
Yeah. What did you say? 17% of kids can do a
Something
push-up?
crazy. Yeah. So, oh yeah, and a pull up, a hang from a bar. They've revised the testing now. They've made it so much easier, and now they're just doing. I think you have to do a pull up from a bench because kids, have become progressively and progressively worse in terms of their fitness, sadly. And
It
part of
is.
it's we're not meeting their needs. We're not listening to them.
And forcing them to do something that they can't do. Like, for example, I really would love it if every single person I work with was moving 7 days a week, right? But if
Right.
if I have Tammy, and I'm just going to say Sally over here, if I have Tammy who runs 6 hours a day and Sally who joins, who's a couch potato, who doesn't even walk further than going to get her mail and back, if I expect both of you to do the same amount of exercise every day, poor Sally's going to quit and she's not going to want to continue. You're probably going to run more, and I'm going to have to yell at you to slow down and tell you to knock it off. But poor Sally over here is going to think she's wrong when she's not. It would have been me that was wrong. I should have been saying to her, hey, you go to the mailbox every day? Cool. Tomorrow, I want you to walk back and forth to the mailbox twice. How does that
Exactly.
sound to you? Does that sound like a good thing? Amazing. Want to try that for 3 or 4 days? After that, let's revisit. Let's talk about a little bit more, right? And then maybe by the end of the program, maybe she's closer to what you're doing, Tammy, right? Because she got to do it at her own pace. But unfortunately, online, Dr. Google, the government, everything's got to be this blanket. Everyone's got to do it this way. And what happens with that? 1 in 4 women have migraines. And the number is increasing, not decreasing, despite more treatment, despite CGRPs. There's a new med. I can't even remember what it's called. I just found out about it this week. Another med that's coming out that's mixing a sumatriptan with something else. And I'll have to totally get back to all of you on it. But I'm like, why are we making more meds? Why? Why do we keep making more Band-Aid things that are not working? 1 in 4 women, again, now they're saying actually that number is really closer to 1 in 3. They're trying to get the actual numbers out there, but that makes me so sad. And why is it? Because it's all a cookie cutter approach. It's all a cookie
And
cutter.
I think, it's like you gave me the wheel. You gave me the wheel back. I'm driving my own car now,
I love it.
and I know now, like I can feel a headache coming on. And
Mhm.
I'll think about, have I had enough potassium? Have I had enough sodium? And maybe I'm still gluten-free and dairy-free, and I really cleaned up my diet, soy-free, sugar-free. Uh, but there are days I don't do exactly what I should do.
Mhm.
And I'll think about what you said. And you gave me the tools now. Like I got my car back and I can go and say, oh, I need a little bit more salt. Am I drinking my water appropriately? And every time I do that, I go back and revisit it. It's helped me yet again. So I feel like I'm going to do this for the rest of my life because I never want to go through what I went through before, ever.
It is almost worse when you get migraine freedom and then you do have a little niggle come back because you're like, oh, no, 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 no. No,
Here it
no,
is. I'm not going there again.
that is gone. That is not happening. As I've said many times, I haven't had a migraine in over a decade. Like it's almost close to 15 years now. But there are times where I get neck pain.
Yeah.
There are times where I get head pressure. The minute that happens, I am like, nope, not going any further. Let me do a reset. Let me do a check. And it is always a choice that I've made. Always. Maybe there's a week I didn't work out at all because I'm like, you know what? I want to finish this new challenge for everyone and it's more important. I love all of you, but no, riding my bike and getting my exercise is more important so that I can create that challenge for you, right? But we
Right.
all forget. We all get caught up in life. We go to a wedding, we go to a birthday party, we go on vacation, we get out of our element, we do the things. That's okay. That's the beauty of this program is that I may teach you the components, but I teach you how to implement it in a way that's right for you so that you can constantly adapt it. So that Tammy, you can do those things that you want to do. And when you feel something, you can adapt.
Mhm.
You're in control. You don't have to call the doctor and say, I'd really like to have a couple beers this weekend. I think I'm going to get a migraine. What should I do? You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You can say, all right, I'm a big girl. I am going to have a couple beers this weekend, but I'm going to do this ahead of time. I might have to do that ahead of time, and I'm not going to have an issue. And that's going to work for me because you know how to adapt you. Where that doctor would probably, first of all, say, don't do it. You just don't do it. And here you
Right.
go. Here's your Nurtec. Here's your Nurtec. Here's your anitriptyline. Not just take an Imitrex, try some Advil, Excedrin. We don't want that. We don't
Yeah.
want that.
And that just causes more stress when you don't have control.
Exactly. Exactly. So I love that you said that you are the driver. Somebody else said that once, but they used a ship. They were the captain of their ship. And it is so true because why do we want a doctor or the government in control of our health?
Nope.
Who cares about your body the most? You. You are the one that cares about your body. Nobody else is going to worry about it except for you. So we want to give you guys that control. And obviously we have. We've given you that. All right, Tammy, I want to give you a chance. I know we've talked about a lot. We've covered a lot that I love. I'm so excited for everyone to see this and to hear everyone else's perspective. But is there anything that you want to say to women that were just like you? Especially women that were panicked about this being something serious. My God, you almost had freaking brain surgery. You know, what do you want to say to these women about your journey and where they can be now?
I mean, I remember vividly uh, Dr. Sullivan saying to me, Tammy, if this tumor had been malignant, you'd be dead by now when she got my results. And so, I've been through this journey, and for me to be able to tell this story, it's just remarkable. And I wouldn't be able to tell this story if it wasn't for this group. There would be no way. This story would have had a very different ending. Um, I'm forever grateful, really.
Aw. Well, we're forever grateful that you have been in our world. We really are.
Thanks.
And just curious, where do you think you would be? What do you think you'd be doing today? Do you think you'd still be taking meds, or would you well, actually you stop meds? So what would you be doing? Just living in pain?
Boy, it's a good question. I think it'd be one sick lady. I think, I'd probably keep trying more medications. Maybe that I hear about these new ones that come out, I'd probably be right at their door.
Mhm. Yeah, I was just curious what you thought because that's what we hear that quite often, right? I'm just gonna try
Yeah,
one more thing.
I
Just gonna
guess I would. You do anything after a while.
yeah, because I mean, who no one's gonna give up, right?
No,
But it's like
no.
throwing spaghetti at the wall. Um, somebody, I can't remember where I read this and what context it was, but I remember someone saying to me, if you need to get from New York to California, are you going to spend the time to learn how to fly a plane, in a week? Do all the reading, research, try to, take some quick classes, see if you can fly yourself there. Or are you just going to trust the pilot to do it who knows what the hell they're doing?
Hmm.
Where do you want to spend your time? Do you want to spend your time 24/7 trying to figure out how to do this, and still making some guesses and maybe making some big mistakes along the way, or do you just want to find somebody who's done it before and somebody who actually knows how to do it and help you get there? And I always thought about that with migraines, like, do you really want to keep throwing that spaghetti at the wall? All right, I'll try gluten-free this week. Next
Hmm.
week, I'll try being soy-free, but I didn't pair it with anything else. So maybe gluten-free is right for me, but I'm not going to know if it's right for me if I don't do all the other things too, right? If I don't exercise the right way. Tammy was probably, really mashing her adrenals down. You probably had adrenal fatigue. If we don't take care of all that, well, now Tammy thinks that gluten-free is bad, but it's not because she just didn't have the knowledge to piece it all together. So I think that's the key thing. No matter who you work with, whether that's us, whether that's somebody else, whether it's for any other health issue, right? You need to make sure you're going to somebody who is the expert and can help you pull your situation apart so that you don't have to keep throwing spaghetti at the wall. Because the longer you do that, the sicker you get. You
Right.
know, Tammy said, she might be in bed, she might be so super sick. And then what are you going to do? You're not going to have that energy to research anything. You're not going to be able to coach basketball um, for those. Oh man, I want to see photos. I really do. They're
My
just so,
granddaughter's 7. She made a basket for the wrong team.
oh, I did that when I was little. I was so
The
embarrassed, but I did it, and it was like the only basket I made.
whole place went crazy. Yeah, they didn't even, she didn't even,
Oh,
she did it.
but you get to enjoy that. You get to enjoy that.
Lucky me. Every time I go to a basketball, I said, our daughter played college basketball and now she's the head coach of these groups and I'm her little assistant. And every time I go, I say, how lucky am I to be able to do this? I thought I was done for.
Aw. Well,
Lucky me. And thanks to you. Honestly.
well, thank you, Tammy. And thank you for spending the
Welcome.
time today to share your story with everyone. If anybody has any questions for myself or for Tammy, please just reach out and DM, send us an email. All of the information, you can go to freedom@debbieweidel.com or head right over to our Women's Migraine Freedom Facebook group and just put a post in the group. We will all be there to help and support you because we know how hard it is to end migraines on your own. Only 5% of people end chronic pain by themselves. 5%. So if you're lucky to be in that 5%, amazing. So happy. If you're the other 95, just reach out. We're here. We're here. And Tammy would love to celebrate with you when you find your migraine freedom.
I
All right,
would.
everybody. You have an amazing day, and we will see you in the group. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Debbie.